Hi, everyone. This is Jason Rodriguez with Zpryme. Today, I'm joined by Commissioner Sadzi Oliva. She is with the Illinois Commerce Commission. Sadzi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be speaking with you again. And thank you so much for joining us as we spoke last time about the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak. And you gave us a lot of information about some of the pre-planning and some of the steps that ICC was taking and some of the key utilities in Illinois were implementing and taking to keep people safe and to keep customers safe. So I wanted to see if you could start off with just giving us an up-to-date of where the state is at today.
Sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me. It's so nice to see you and hear that you're doing well and all the great work you're doing with Z Prime to get such good messages out and hearing from different industry leaders and industry stakeholders. So, I just want to thank you for that. Since we last spoke, Governor Pritzker announced Restore Illinois. It is a five-phased plan to reopen our state. It's guided by health metrics with distinct business, education, and recreation activities characterizing each phase. So it's an initial framework that will be updated as research and science develop and as the potential for treatments, possibly vaccines, are realized. The plan is based on regional healthcare availability, and it recognizes the distinct impact that COVID-19 has on different regions of our state. So I think it's a fluid plan. It's a fluid roadmap. Phase one is called rapid spread. We've already been past phase one. Phase two is called flattening. I believe that's the phase that we're in right now. Phase three is recovery. Phase four is revitalization. And phase five is Illinois restored. So that's an update about what's happening in our state as far as restoring Illinois and reopening.
Oh, excellent. So as the state looks to open up, what are some of the issues that ICC is watching in terms to keep utility workers safe, but then also keep customers safe?
So the safety of our own employees is a priority as the Illinois Commerce Commission reopens. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's happening within our own commission. Most of our employees have been working remotely, and hearings have still been taking place via teleconference and starting to take place by video conference as well. And I'm excited to announce that next Wednesday, we will hold our first open meeting as a commission by video conference. So that's exciting. For our regulated utilities, the safety of employee and consumers remains a priority. So unless it's an emergency, our utility workers are not going into people's homes. When they do have to go in, they practice safe social distancing practices and they're wearing the appropriate PPE. So we issued a moratorium on disconnections that I talked about. That remains in effect for now because the government extended his stay-at-home order to the end of May. So consumers have utility services provided to them while at home, and that includes water, electricity, and gas. Last time we spoke, I also talked about an order issuing a moratorium of disconnections and a temporary waiver of late fees and other penalties until that stay-at-home order is lifted. So that matter is docketed, and I can't speak about it in specifics, but I do want to let you know and give you an update that our regulated utilities and our consumer advocates have filed briefs, and those issues of rate recovery of expenses and lost revenue and how to deal with them from a regulatory perspective are being reviewed by the commission. So we have a lot to think about. We have a lot to analyze and a lot to decide moving forward. We timely issued a notice of inquiry to examine and better assess the issue of energy affordability for all Illinois utility consumers. So the process of gathering that information will begin once the stay-at-home order is lifted so that we can better understand energy affordability for consumers. So that's also something that the commission is looking forward to studying and analyzing once the stay-at-home order is lifted and once we start receiving the information from utilities and interested stakeholders and our consumer advocates.
Excellent. So I did have one follow-up there on the utility workers in turn safe social distancing. Do you know is if they've had any issues in getting like PPE or protective supplies to utility workers?
Yes, I believe that all of our utilities do have plans to provide PPE for their own safety, when they do need to um, go into homes in if there's an emergency, and when the state reopens. I have heard from utilities that they are providing their employees with the appropriate PPE.
Oh, thank you. And then the other one, which you talked about in terms of the evaluation going on with respect to customers and when the moratorium is lifted, any resources that customers can be looking to that, for example, they could be out of a job, it could be hard for them to pay some of these bills in terms of how that is going to uh, play out. So just any resources or programs you guys are hearing or discussing?
Yes. So I know that utilities are engaging with customers to work out payment plans once the moratorium is lifted. They have customer service centers open, ready to handle these calls and work with customers so that shutoffs are avoided once the moratorium is lifted. Utilities have reported that their areages are up by 100% and that customer call volumes are down by 50%. We heard this from one utility. So, what that means is that not all customers are calling at the moment since there's no threat of disconnection. So, customers should know that payment options are available and they should probably reach out to their utilities to work out a payment plan before this moratorium is lifted and before we start getting back to normal in this state. There are resources that customers can seek for aid, but the economic devastation stemming from this pandemic will also have an impact on government programs. So, Illinois residents can apply for LIHEAP, which is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. And each utility has some sort of a CARES program. And customers can learn more about these financial assistance programs by visiting the Illinois Commerce Commission website for information on these programs. They can reach out to the utilities directly or go on their websites to learn more about these financial assistance programs. And they can also reach out to the Citizens Utility Board, which is one of our consumer advocates, and their website also has information about all of these programs.
Thank you. So now I want to move on in terms to see if you could talk to the points of some of the clean energy plans that the state of Illinois and several of the utilities there had put in place prior to COVID-19, where there were some very ambitious goals on clean energy transformation and grid modernization. Do you see this being impacted? And maybe before that, maybe just give the quick highlight for those who aren't very familiar with what those broader plans were.
Sure. So the clean energy plans in the state of Illinois, as set forth under the Future Energy Jobs Act, are still in place. Although some state run renewable energy incentive programs may be facing funding issues as the economy is impacted. There is legislation pending in our capital in Springfield called the Clean Energy Jobs Act, CEJA, with even more aggressive clean energy goals. But the pandemic has halted the spring legislative session. So whatever happens to that legislation right now is on hold until our General Assembly can get back together and meet again. So I think there's a lot to be determined in the clean energy space as Illinois reopens and how that will impact clean energy plans already in place and the more aggressive ones proposed by legislation. There's also a lot happening on the federal level at FERC that could potentially impact Illinois. um, it's just all very, like I started with the beginning, very fluid. And the sooner we can get back to normal, the sooner we can tell what it actually is going to look like and what's going to happen and where we go. And it's going to be a new normal. So I think we have to be very adaptable. We have to be very engaged with our stakeholders in order to make the right decisions moving forward so that utilities can provide safe and reliable and least cost utility services for our consumers.
Well, Sadzi, we really appreciate your time and leadership in this, especially there in the state of Illinois. Thank you for joining us again today, for giving us an update. I know there's a lot going on, and we really appreciate all the work that you do and all those that you represent there in the state of Illinois.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great seeing you, and glad to see you are safe and healthy, and I look forward to talking again.